Good day, everyone. As we meet today, we're talking on Leadershift. So this is East meets West on leadership, and Coach Harish is joining us from India as we talk about some leadership activity or areas that you as a leader can improve in or can change. So welcome, Coach Harish. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you. First of all, a happy Diwali from India. Today is a great day for all of us celebrating the festival of lights, celebrating joy, happiness, and I'm sure you are also celebrating in your own manner in your country, in Guyana, Shanti. So, very happy and proud and privileged to be speaking today. And I'm wearing the traditional dress, the kurta and the pajama, which we wear on these occasions. So, happy to be here today and sharing our wisdom and knowledge on leader shift. What activity the leaders need to make in the times, today's challenging times, and shift the way they address themselves and the way they lead. So, thank you for inviting me, Shanti, and a pleasure to be today with you on your platform, East Meets West on leadership, adding value to leaders and looking forward to share our thoughts today. So, over to you.
Thank you, Coach Harish. Yes, as you heard, we're talking leadership. And one key area that I found, and I guess research is there too, many leaders around the world will talk about how do you shift from pleasing people to challenging people? How do you change from pleaser to leader? I found that many leaders, whether it's you're leading one or you're leading 1,000 or millions maybe, is that sometimes as a leader there's this need that I need to please my people, and in so doing, and I'm saying this from a different perspective or from a different angle, that sometimes we we feel as leaders we need to be nice in all aspect, but in the nice, yes, you need to be nice, but then in certain aspect your niceness is causing your organization, your niceness is causing or costing, I should say, your country or your community, despite whichever area you're leading in, because you're not being, upfront with your communication. You're not setting the expectation of what is needed from your team members or your followers. So this kind of pleasing mentality is that, I want to look good. I want people to like me. And therefore, in the liking, you have allowed things to fall away. Yeah, and so these are some of my thoughts that are things that I've been observing as leaders, that sometimes in some organizations, when the leader need to speak up or speak against certain things, they don't. They hold back and they allow things to fall away. And that becomes where many organizations also fail. And it's always about a leadership challenge here in many organizations, in many countries. It's the leadership is what everything rise and falls on leadership, according to John Maxwell. And so if our eyes can open up to see, I as the leader what are the things that I might be doing that is causing the organization to, not be their best, or causing my team to not be their best. Coach, what are your thoughts on this?
I agree with you totally. To get the best out of people, leaders have to ask for the best from people. Leaders need to communicate that I am happy to see you be the best. And for that, we can go together to become the best. So you need to look at this from I agree, not to please them, but to address this with them that they need to be the leader, and these are the expectations towards leadership from the organization because it is best for the organization. It is best for the people other than the people you are addressing in the organization. And what is best for me? You need to address what is best for me, what is best for the people I lead, and what is best for them to become the leader that they need to lead the organization, which is good and best for the organization. So I agree with you, and you will never know whether the people are with you until you ask them to make that commitment, until you ask them to make that commitment that yes, they are in the game, they are going to play the game together, and they are going to win the game together as a team and as an organization. So, this leader shift has to be made by the current leader. You got to ask, we are the best, let's be the best. As I speak today, your West Indies team is playing Cricket World Cup in Dubai, and they have to score 190 runs against Sri Lanka at the moment. Now, they need to look at it from the leader's perspective. Each leader, each person in the team is a leader today when he's playing the game, and he has to play to win the game and win the World Cup. Is that the common goal? Is that the organization that we are looking at to become, to be number one, to lead? Now, this is what needs to be reflected in the way you conduct yourself, the way you look at yourself. What's best for me? How can I perform best today? And best for the organization and for the other people, like my country. What does my country expect me to be? So, if you ask me, I feel the leader has to make a shift and get into that zone. That's my point of view, and I stick to it in my country with my people and my leadership.
Yes. So, as you were speaking, I thought of how, as leaders, can you be comfortable with the uncomfortable? And sometimes it's addressing, those areas that you don't like addressing. And it might be a team member who's underperforming. It might be, and maybe some conflict between yourself and someone else's viewpoint. But these are situations as leaders that you are responsible for. You are the one who need to challenge your team so that they will be better, and by them being better your organization becomes better. And so that part of it is that as a leader, what is your mindset around addressing things? What is your mindset? If you are a pleaser, then I can guarantee you, you are allowing certain things to happen that will fall away or cause your organization to fall away. The standards will start dropping. Your team maybe even their morale and their expectation from you, their respect, all of that starts deteriorating because you as a leader have not set yourself apart and show that yes, there are times when certain things will need to be addressed, and there are times when, yes, we are nice and we're, having fun, and we're not people pleaser, but at the same time we're able to build each other up, we value each other. And so that part of it is knowing when to separate what, and be able to be okay with dealing with conflict, be okay with underperformers, or upfront setting that expectation. So let's talk about that part of it, is that sometimes as leaders we do not give clear instructions. As leaders, we have this mindset in our head that we know what we want to get done or what we want to achieve, we know in our head. But how is this translating to your team? How the people who have to support you, do they understand clearly what is it that you're doing, why are you doing it, what is the results of doing this particular thing, what is it going to do for them, what is it going to do for the organization? They don't know. How do you set clear expectation up front so that you avoid miscommunication, you avoid people being left in the dark, or people performing at a standard and then you have to address it. And then if you don't want to address it, then what happens, what happens to the project, what happens to the organization and the organization goals? So when we talk about establishing expectations up front, coach, how can people, or as leaders, how can you start with setting the expectation?
It's very important for leaders to play the game with the rules of the game. And the rules need to be defined and expectations need to be made clear with each member of the team. These are the expectations for me. These are the expectations for the team. These are the expectations from the organization. And this upfront discussion will show my respect towards them, how I value them, and when I question them, they understand from where am I coming, and the decision that we will take will be on the same lines, that these are the minimum expectations and the maximum is the more you give, the more we have together. So, as leaders, you have to set this up front. A very important point you mentioned, up front. Upfront is a beautiful word. You have to say it immediately, that this is what is my expectations as a leader, this is what the team's expectations, and this is what the expectations of the organization. And they have to be very clear that they have set the boundaries. Now they need to function within and bring that shift in their do to get the results that we expect. So it's very important that we have this upfront. I like this point of view, and I'm sure in leadership, if we imbibe this, these are the expectations from you when you join an organization, and you have that a role model being shaping up in you, that I need to meet these expectations. Great point. Great point, Shanti. Great sharing. And I think this happens everywhere, all over the world, be it east, west, or anywhere else.
Indeed. I think too, when we set our expectation up front, it also helps reduce time, not only conflict or communication, but also the time of this back and forth, that, okay, someone end up going and do something, and then they have to go back and do it back, or the whole discussion, all of that is time going in certain one thing that could have been avoided up front. So I would say
So
as
there is clarity upfront.
yep,
This is the way we will operate. These are the boundaries, these are the timelines, and we have to exercise our effort in this area so that we get maximum results.
definitely. So it is about being upfront and indeed clear. Be very clear in what you're saying and what you're expected. When you give an instruction to maybe a simple thing as printing a document, right? And you said to your team member that you would like this to be printed, and you did not say if you wanted landscape, you did not say if you wanted portrait, you did not say if you wanted black and white, you did not give clear instruction as to what exactly. And the person just, okay, you said you wanted printed, well, I printed it. How would I know that you wanted all these different things? And so I think that it also save resources, right? And that avoid having to go back and print in this scenario. Think of all the areas that you can avoid, you know if you have done a great job in communicating clearly upfront what is your expectation. When you hire new team members, what is the expectation that you're setting for them? Is it clear in their mind what they're coming to do? How they would be evaluated when they do this particular thing? So the expectation, not that, after a month, or some people wait even longer and then come and tell the person, well, that's not what I was expecting you to do. And the person left, how can I dream or read your mind to know what you're expecting? And so avoid all of this communication. And also, again, it comes to a point when the person is not performing, and you being an individual who don't like confrontation, would not want to go and tell this person that, this is not what we were expected from you. And you will avoid the whole conversation, and then that person end up continued performing the same way they were performing, and all of this now leads to other breakdowns. So as leaders, I would say it's indeed important that we set the expectation up front. It's not about me or you as a leader. It is not about the other person either. It's about your organization. It's about the bigger picture of what you're achieving. I always say to my team, it's not what Shanti says, or said to get done. It is what is needed. It is what is needed to take the organization to the next level. So it is what the organization needs, not me as the leader needs. So it's not about me, it's not about you. It is about what is needed to drive that change, what is needed to get the goals and the results of the organization. It's what about bringing out the best for everyone. So I think when as leaders, if you can set that expectation up front and let your people know that it's not about you, it's not about them, it's why are we here? What is it that we're working towards achieving? And if we can do it together and understand strictly clearly why we're here, it becomes easier for people to act and do what is needed. So Coach Harish, in closing, do you have any closing remarks on these two areas as leaders as we
I
shift?
only want people to remember, you must value other people. Number one, you are expected to keep growing every day as you lead yourself, your team, the organization. And most important, be prepared for change. And if this clarity is there with you, you communicate with this clarity, and you are consistent with this, you are working very well as a leader and as well as creating an organization which is looking for greatness in times to come. So just do it and do it so well that you become better every single day. And consistency is the hallmark of greatness. So be consistent, keep growing, keep leading, and keep changing yourself. Do not be rigid, be flexible, is the only mantra for growing leadership. That's what I have to say today.
Indeed. You touched on a few points there. Be flexible. That is something that I had to learn as a leader, how to be open, how to be flexible, how to understand everything is not going to go your way, but be flexible. And so, indeed, valuing your people, value them as individuals that you want to see them grow to, that you are investing your time to build them and help them. So, don't do drive by delegation in giving instructions. Make things clear, take the time out, and make sure your team member understands what you're saying or what is the expectation. You need to do that as the leader. So shifting out from maybe the way you usually do things to this new way of doing things. It's building the habit of doing it differently. And I do remember, if we do the same thing over and over and expect a different results, it's called foolishness, right? So I know that we are not foolish people. So don't expect, foolish things. If it's not working, your communication or whatever is not working, just tweet it and go test again and make sure that people do understand what you are saying, and set it up front. Okay, so we're gonna continue talking more about leaders and their leaders mindset, and moving from where you're at to where you should be, and how you should be going and growing. It's important. And lastly, I wanted to add is that indeed, from this side of the world, especially in Guyana, in next couple of years, there are going to be many changes happening in our country. I'm sure maybe in India too, and the other countries too. There are many things are changing, and the way we do business, the way we do our work is going to shift in different. And if we're not open to those things, we are going to be left behind, and you're going to struggle. So go with an open mindset. In things is they're not fixed, things are always changing, change is inevitable, and embrace the change. So coach, thank you for joining us. Go
Value
back to the
yourself,
celebration.
be of value, create value, and be valuable to your country as a leader. So hold this word dear to you: value, value, value. I am of value, my team is of value, my organization is of value, and my country is of value. So, with this one word, we end today's program on leadership is all about value.
Yes, coach. Value. See you guys in the next week. Same time, 12:30 p.m. Guyana time and 10 p.m. India time.
Thank you
Okay.
once again. Happy Diwali from India to all the people in Guyana and all over the world. Thank you. Bless you all. Be happy. Spread happiness today and forever for the rest of your life. Thank you.
Thank you, coach.